Seriously, I'm asking, why should you feel shy? Make dua, Ya Allah, I'm going into this place, I don't know if I get good parking or not, please get me some good parking. What's wrong with that? When you're traveling, buy an economy ticket and say, oh Allah, please get me upgraded to business class. What's wrong with that? Seriously, serious. Think about it. I'm not joking. You are laughing, I'm laughing. I mean, seriously, I'm telling you, let us get serious with that. Connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the world is yours. Connect with Allah, the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Sakhara lakum ma fis samawati ma fil ard. I have made musakhara, I have given the control of whatever is in the heavens and the earth to you. So the durood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eases the way. I'm talking about concentration in Salah. Constantly keep in the zikr of Allah. So the Sahabi said, I want to dedicate 25% of my zikr to you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you increase it, that's better for you. He said, I will do half of it, I will increase it to half my zikr. He said, if you do more, that is better for you. He said, 3/4 of the time that I do zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will send salat and salam on you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that is good for you. And do remember, when you are sending salat and salam on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, automatically that is also zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no, it's not as if you are going away somewhere, no. So, being in zikr constantly. Then, saving yourself from all forms of sin helps you to concentrate in Salah. Right? Backbiting, talking about somebody, all of this stuff. And as one sister told me, oh, there goes my social life. Right? Well, what do you do? So, decide, you want to concentrate in Salah or you want social life? Especially when that social life is not without cost. I mean, imagine, what's happening. You're talking about eating halal chicken, so how about eating the dead meat of your sister or brother? That's what ribat is. How about giving your good deeds? Somebody asked Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari, rahmatullahi alayhi, this is the benefit of having knowledge. Imam Bukhari, rahmatullahi alayhi, said, if I want to do ghiba, I will do ghiba of my mother. I will tell people about my mother's, evils. Obviously, Imam Bukhari's mother was not evil, but he said this. He said, if I want to do ghibat, I will do ghibat of my mother. So they said, what kind of a statement is that? He said, because my good deeds will go to the one whose ghibat I am making. So at least let them go to my mother. Why must I give my good deeds to someone who I dislike? Think about that. How illogical and stupid is that? I mean, that's really supremely retarded. Because of all the people in the world, you want to give your good deeds to the one you hate the most? I mean, why would you want to do that? It's really crazy. Why would you want to do that? So really think about that and so all of that. So obviously lying and cheating and, doing ribat and namima, that's another one. Now you might say, well, no, I never did ribat. But, what you would have done probably. May Allah save you and me from this. Someone mentions a sister or a brother. He says, what do you think of Isaac? Now I say, oh, Ishaq. So people say, you backtalk the man. I say, I didn't backtalk. I didn't say a word against him. What do you mean? I didn't backtalk. No, I didn't say anything about him. I didn't say anything wrong about him. But you know what I'm saying? Just the intonation of the voice. Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. So, very important. Keep away from sin. All forms of sin. If you do these things, and then we come to in the Salah, very important for us to understand what we are reciting or what we are hearing. Just think about this. I am speaking to you now, you are listening to me, and for most of you at least, is there a problem in concentration? I mean, are your thoughts wandering here and there? No. Why? Is my word better than the word of Allah? Of course not. The only difference is that my word you understand, the word of Allah you don't understand. That's the problem. So for you and me, people like us who don't understand Arabic and who don't take the trouble to learn Arabic, when the Imam is reciting or when we are reciting, it's tuned. So maybe it's a nice tune, maybe it's not such a nice tune, but it's noise, it's just a sound. And how long will you concentrate purely on sound? After a few minutes your thoughts go here and there. But if you actually understand the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, And if you understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, just to give you an example, just think about this. The surah which we read in every rakat of every salah. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. All praise and all thanks is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the Rabbul Alameen, who is the creator, the sustainer, the protector, the supporter of all of creation. And when you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, in your mind, what are you thinking? You are saying Alhamdulillah that I am a Muslim, I am not worshipping a cow, I am not worshipping a tree, I am not worshipping a stone, I am worshipping the creator of the heavens and the earth and all that is in between. When you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, you are thinking my mother, my father, my grandparents, my children, my husband, my wife, Subhanallah, how Allah has blessed me. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You are still on the same one ayah. If you really understand, you will not even go to the next ayah, that one ayah is enough for you. You say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rabbul Alameen, who is Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the creator of the minutest thing and the creator of the most grand and majestic of things. And then, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Rahman, the superlative form of Rahman, the peak of Rahman. Rahman on the same person as Jawan or Atshan. Very hungry, extremely thirsty. Ghadban, extremely angry. The extreme form of it, extreme form of Rahman. But tell me, what is one problem with the extreme form? How long does extreme anger last? For a short time. How long does extreme hunger last? For a short time. So one of the problems of this extreme form is it doesn't stay there for too long. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Rahim. On the same wazan as Jameel, Kareem. If you are beautiful, you are beautiful. You don't suddenly wake up one morning and become ugly, no. It continues, Jameel, the Jamal continues. Kareem. So Rahman, the extreme form of Rahman, which continues forever, inshallah. Now if you understand this, Rahman or Rahim, and then see the positioning of the kalam of Allah. What is the ayah after Rahman and Rahim? What is the ayah? Maliki Yawmiddin. What did Allah say about this Yawmuddin? Limanil mulkul yawm Lillahil wahidul qahhar. In another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, on that day, Allah will announce, because the entire creation would have been finished. After the sur is blown, there is only Israfil, alayhi salam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Israfil alayhi salam will say, Ya Rabb, there are only two who are alive, me and you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, with my hukum, you also die. And Israfil will die. And there is nothing in creation except the one who lives and who does not die. Hayyul ladhi la yamut. And at that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will announce, Limanil mulkul yawm. Who does this day belong to? And there will be no one to answer that question. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself will answer, Lillahil wahidul qahhar. This day belongs to the one who is alone. Al-Qahhar. Now if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had used those two attributes of his in Surah Al-Fatiha, would you have prevented him from doing that? Could I have stopped him from doing that? Could I have said, oh my Rabb, change those words? What would happen to you in Salah when you are standing there and you read Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Al-Wahidul Qahhar Maliki Yawmiddin? What would happen to you? You would say, Allah, Al-Wahidul Qahhar, I am going to go before Al-Wahidul Qahhar. can you thank Allah? How can I thank Allah? Think about this. How can we actually thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That before he mentioned the day of judgment, he comforted us. He comforted us. He said, don't worry. I am Rahman Rahim. You will come before me, but I am Rahman Rahim. Eh? And then what? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Oh Allah, only you we worship. إِيَّاكَ. Only you we worship. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And only your help we seek. We don't ask for help from anyone. And we don't worship anyone other than you. Ibn Kathir, rahmatullah alayhi, his tafsir, he mentioned this hadith al-Qudsi about Surah Al-Fatiha. I'm talking about increasing concentration in Salah. Increasing concentration in Salah comes from knowledge. Learn. Ibn Kathir narrates his hadith al-Qudsi, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I have divided the Salah between myself and my slave. And the word Salah in this case means Surah Al-Fatiha. And he says, when my slave says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah said, I say, Hamdani Abdi, my slave has praised me, my slave has thanked me. When you stand in Salah, in concentration, remember and think, when I am saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is replying to me. Try to hear the voice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam always recited Surah Al-Fatiha one ayah after the other. He did not combine the ayat. It is not prohibited to do that. But that is the way of recitation of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was one ayah at a time. Why? Because when I am saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, my Rabb is saying Hamdani Abdi. I want to hear the voice of my Rabb. And then the slave says, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Majjadani Abdi. My slave has glorified me and said, Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Allah says, my slave has acknowledged that the day of judgment belongs to me. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, from here on, it is between me and my slave. Whatever he or she asks me, I will give. Bring this concentration into your Salah. Remember, you're standing before the only one who can give anything he wants, because he owns everything that there is. Remember that you are asking the only one who likes those who ask. People don't like those who ask. The only one who likes those who ask is Rabb Jalali wal Ikram. So you stand there, and what did he say? After you say, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, he said, now it is between me and him. Whatever my slave asks, I will give him or her. And then what did he ask us to ask him? What did he tell us to ask him? Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Oh Allah, guide us to the path of steadfastness. What is sirat al-mustaqim? Whose way is sirat al-mustaqim? Yasin wal-Qur'an al-Hakim innaka laminal mursalin ala siratum mustaqim. Whose way is the sirat al-mustaqim? The way of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reinforced. Whenever I talk about the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, I say that effectively, meaning-wise, the surah ends with Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. Allah could have ended the surah here. The same meaning would have been conveyed, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reinforced. And then what did he say? Siratal ladhina an'amta غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, the way of those who were rightly guided, and therefore the way of those who received your inam. The ways of those who you blessed. And who is the best of them who are blessed? أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين. And among the Nabiyyin, who is the Imam al-Anbiya? Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Understand the value of being an ummati of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There's a series of lectures of mine on YouTube called Rights of Rasulullah on his Ummah. See those lectures. Understand who you are. You're not a disconnected, disjointed individual standing in Salah. No. You are part of the grand plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you and me to be in that grand plan, in the best possible position, which is as the ummati of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You didn't ask for it, I didn't ask for it, wallahi. This is the inam of Allah. This is the inam of Allah. Allah gave this, Allah blessed us without us asking. Allah gave this to us as His inam. Allah gave this to us as His gift. Ask yourself, and let me ask myself, what am I doing with this gift? غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. O Allah, not the path of those who attracted your anger. Who attracted the anger of Allah? Those who deliberately disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who disobeyed after having knowledge. We normally do the translation. غير المغضوب عليهم Jews, ولا الضالين Christians. Nothing to do with me. Don't fool yourself. Do not fool yourself. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to say Jews and Christians, He would have said Jews and Christians. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the attributes. Why did they attract the anger of Allah? Because they had knowledge. And in spite of having knowledge, they went against this knowledge. So therefore, anyone who has that attribute, anyone who has that kind of character, anyone who does those kinds of actions, will attract the anger of Allah. Whether that person is a Muslim or not a Muslim makes no difference. If a Muslim has knowledge and deliberately goes against this knowledge, that Muslim will attract the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know something is wrong, yet you do it. You know something is right and you have to do it, yet you ignore it. What are you doing? You are attracting the anger of Allah. Let us beware and let us stop doing that. Wadhalin, who are those people? Those people who had no knowledge, the people who got misguided, the people who created innovations, the people who had a good intention, but they took the good intention to a level where it became something haram. The people who loved Isa alayhi salam, and they loved Isa alayhi salam to the extent where they made him the son of God. He made the son. The Christians said Isa alayhi salam is son of God, not because they hate him, because they love him. So what about us? When we love this sheikh or that sheikh, and this wali and that wali, and we give wilayat to people, and we grant stations before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to people, when we have no right to grant any such thing. And we raise people and their darajat to the extent where we say, so and so is above so and so is directly connected to Allah. And I will ask that so and so whether he is alive or dead to make dua for me. Where is all this from, my sisters and brothers? Where is this from? This is from shaitan. Make no mistake. This is from shaitan. To ask the help of anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is from shaitan. Just because your intention is good makes no difference. Intention is only one of the conditions for an amal to be accepted. The other two conditions are that the amal must be according to the Sharia and the amal must not be against the Sunnah. So in Salah now, remember, if you are reading Surah Al-Fatiha with all of this meaning and this knowledge and this understanding, may Allah give you the ability to do that. Do you think you will have concentration or your thoughts will wander? And then added to that, now the next surah. Let me start with Surah Al-Baqarah. Inshallah, we can be here till Tahajjud. Yes? Whatever else you decide. The same logic applies. Have to understand the meaning of it. Revel in the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this great honor of speaking His word with this tongue of ours. Have istihzar of them. Don't be mechanical robots. You don't Allah. No. Revel in this knowledge. Thank Allah. Even before you start reciting the Quran, thank Allah. Oh Allah, you permitted me to take your name. You permitted me to repeat your speech with this tongue of mine. And then ask yourself also outside Salah, this tongue of yours, should it be cursing? Should it be saying bad things? Because the same tongue just recited the kalam of Allah. How can this tongue now say something which is haram? That is the key to the concentration in Salah. That's like one question which took so long. You got a bunch of questions. This is like you're going to sleep or whatever. What can we do or change in our daily lives to help us focus or teach and direct our children towards Allah? Whose handwriting is very nice handwriting? I like good handwriting. All of you will get tea, so don't look at me. I always say, children listen with their eyes. They don't listen with their ears. And I guess that is true for everybody, not only children. People listen with their eyes. I can sit here and talk till the cows come home, but none of that will impress you. What you will look to see is what I do. So I told you all these benefits of Salah, and then when you see me standing in Salah, you either say I don't pray, or if I am praying, then I am adjusting my beard or my turban or my mishla or something. He just talked all this thing about concentration in Salah. Why is he dancing there? He's supposed to be praying. What is he doing? Get the point I'm saying? Children listen with their eyes. People listen with their eyes. So it doesn't matter what you say. Look at yourself. I was at a teachers conference just now, and one of the conference of AMS, Association of Muslim Schools, and one of the principals there, he asked me, he told me, Sheikh, how can I be a role model? So I started laughing. He said, why are you laughing? I said, because you don't have to ask me that question. You know the answer to that question yourself. Why are you asking me that question? He said, you're right. I know the answer. And that's the point I'm saying to you. You know the answer. What must you do to connect your children with Allah? Be connected with Allah yourself. I keep saying this, give them memories. My father, rahmatullah, any time I think about my father, the thought that comes into my mind is the sound of the metal bucket in the bathroom at 2 o'clock in the night. Every single day of his life. 40, 45 years that I knew while I still lived with it. Every night, the sound of the metal bucket is making wudu at 2 o'clock in the night. Then he would pray Tahajjud, then he would read Quran till Salatul Fajr, then he would wake us up. He would say, Salah khairun minan nawm. And my brother was, he lives in America, he was in Hyderabad recently, and my brother told me, I used to hate that sound. So, in a cold winter morning, and nicely snuggled up under your blankets, and my father didn't stop with that. I mean, you didn't get up, he would pull off the blankets, he would turn the bed upside down. You had to get up. There was no way that you were not going to get up for Salatul Fajr. And it didn't matter how old you were. In our house, we never had any of these arguments. No, she's very small, he's very small. No, small, big. You get up and you pray. Earliest memories. Give your children memories. My memory of my mother, she taught me to read the Quran. I remember once I must have been, Allah, maybe I was a year old or a year and a half old or something, and we used to live in a place where there was no electricity. So one night, she took my hand and she walked out with me into the yard and she showed me the moon and she said, see the moon. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that moon. We don't worship the sun or the moon, we worship Allah. She's talking to a 1-year-old. It's never too early to talk talk to your children, believe me. 6-month-old, 1-year-old, newborn, talk to them, talk to them. You and I have no clue what actually happens in their mind. We don't understand all this. Talk to them. How do you connect your children to Allah? By being connected to Allah. If your children see that any time there is a problem, what does the mother do? What does the father do? They put their musalla, they make wudu, Allah Akbar. They pray to Rakah, Salatul Haja. They ask Allah. The child is watching this. My father is not running here and there. My mother is not running here and there. They are not saying, who should we ask? No. We ask Allah. Then you make whatever effort you want to make. Do remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feeds the bird, but not in the nest. The bird has to get out of the nest and go and do some work. Right? People always give this dalil. Allah will feed the bird. Yeah, but where? Allah feeds the bird, but Allah does not feed the bird in the nest. Allah will feed the bird when the bird is doing what the bird is supposed to do. So go and do the bird things, but at the same time, ensure that your focus never shifts from Allah. Be connected to Allah. How do I connect my children to Allah? By being connected to Allah myself. I always say this. How does a candle light up a room? A candle does not light up a room by doing something to the room. The candle lights up the room by being true to itself. The room lights up on its own. Get up? Whoa. Man, this looks like next week, not next week. Alright. Jazakumullahu khairan wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for listening and do tune in again for the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They're gone. That doesn't apply to you. That's whatever was. This thing is being live telecast and broadcast, a lot of broadcast. Can I have this tea is like ice cream. No sugar at all. Yeah, jazakallah. Alright, please advise regards firstly fulfilling role as mother and wife, then thereafter pursuing a career in healthcare education in order to be of benefit to Muslims, specifically others in general, may find cooking and baking necessities of life, not luxuries. Many find cooking and baking necessities of absolutely, they're not even necessities of life, they're ways of gaining weight. Ask me, every time I go to South Africa, I put on 20 pounds. And may Allah bless all those who cook. May Allah give me self-control not to eat what they cook. But by all means, of course, after doing all of that, do pursue. See, Islam does not prevent you, it does not stop you from having a career, especially careers which are beneficial, which are sources of honor. We want teachers, we want medical doctors. You want stuff which is important. I mean, for example, you don't want your sister to go for a medical examination to a man. Why should she do that? I mean, she is in hijab and all that, and then for a medical examination she has to go to a male doctor. No, let her go to a woman doctor. And then if those women doctors, if you don't study medicine, where do they come from? I mean, they're not going to drop out of the air. So you have to study medicine. By all means, do those things. There's nothing to stop you. But primacy of roles. The question is primacy of which role is more important. So when you are a mother, the motherhood role takes primacy over everything else. Right? And you do that role. When you are a wife, the role of being a wife takes primacy over everything else. Don't fall into this women's lib rubbish. I'm telling you seriously, really think. The people who sell this stuff are men. Women's lib didn't come out of a woman, believe me. It came out of a man. Because all the stuff they tell you to do is good for men, it's not good for women. Seriously. They take off your clothes. Now who's watching? Are women? Use your brains. Why do you fall into all these traps? You don't want to be obedient to your husband, so and you say, I want to go and work outside. Fine, no problem. Go work outside. Now who's your boss? Some strange man who will order you around. He says stand, you stand. He said sit, you sit. He said jump, you ask how high. But when your husband tells you something, you turn up your nose. So what does Allah do? Allah makes you zaleel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliates you at the hands of some strange man outside. Why do you do this to yourself? For what? And those of you who have heard me talking to the men, believe me, I tell some hard things there. So there's nothing to ask them who have been listening to me in both places. But here, since all the sisters are here, I'm just saying, Don't fall into all this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you for a very, very important reason. The position of the mother is not for nothing. The position of the mother in Islam is very, very superior. That's not for nothing. So, honor that. Primacy of roles. Alhamdulillah, that role is over. Now can I do something else? Of course. Naturally, you maintain the boundaries, all of which you know. I don't have to list all those boundaries. You maintain those boundaries, but nothing at all to stop you from flying spacecraft to, doing whatever. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that you are not permitted to do as long as it is halal. I mean, all the halal activities, more than well, there's no problem with that. Right? Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. How do we encourage our children to love this deen of Allah despite the temptation surrounding them without causing them to rebel against this and this deen without forcing them? Forcing is in any case no use because you can't force anybody. Right? Help them to see the reality of those temptations. A temptation is a temptation. By definition, it is something which is deceived. Help them to see the reality of those temptations. What is the reality? The link of that to the akhirah. The link of that to the akhirah. Once they see that link, then there's no problem. The key thing, I'll tell you a beautiful story. Maulana Ilyas Rahmatullah Alayhi, Ilyas Kandhlawi Rahmatullah Alayhi, the founder of the Tabligh movement. There was a very big businessman who was a friend of his from Lahore. So this businessman said, he said to Maulana, I want to come and spend time with you in Nizamuddin in Delhi. So Maulana said, most welcome, come. And the man came, and we were talking about the days before partition, when India was still a British colony. So this businessman came, he was Western educated, he had been educated in England and so on. The man had no beard, he used to wear only Western clothes and all that. He came. He is in the Markaz, in Nizamuddin, in the middle of the Tabligh movement. The following morning, Maulana Ilyas sent for a barber. Why? To shave the man, because he used to shave every day. And those were the good old days, you didn't shave yourself, a barber came and shaved you. Right? So he sent for a barber. Now imagine, in the middle of the Tabligh masjid, here is this man who is sitting and getting his beard shaved, and who called the barber? The head of the Tabligh movement. Now everyone is absolutely astounded, people are shocked, but nobody can say anything because Maulana Ilyas himself called the barber, so who are you going to object to? The man had his beard shaved and so on. Day passed. Second day, again Baba comes, again his beard is shaved. Third day, fourth day, after fourth or fifth day, when the Baba came, the man told him not to go, we don't know him. So Maulana asked him, I said, why did you send him away? I called him for him. He said, Maulana, baat samajh mein aa gayi. He said, Maulana, I have understood the point. I don't need him anymore. And he never shaved again, he kept his beard. Now my point is that, do you think it would have got that man to keep his beard if Maulana Ilyas had threatened him with hell and, with hellfire or whatever? No. Even if like it happens to a lot of people, even if they keep a beard, temporarily, like many people do, they keep a beard in Ramadan. Especially if they are in Etikaf, 10 days of Etikaf, they keep a beard, then they ensure that before Salatul Eid, the beard is shaved. What is the point of that? Who are you trying to fool? So force doesn't help. Personal example. Let the children see what you do. Let them connect them, show them this temptation, where does it lead to? Right? It's okay to jive to Michael Jackson's music, but that will lead you somewhere. Right? In any case, I will show them a video of jiving and see how idiotic it looks. You look like you are in some kind of epileptic fit. Right? Moving your arms and legs irrationally, it makes no sense. Seriously, show them a video of dancing in a disco, turn the sound off. Right? Turn the sound off so that they don't hear the beat of the music. Just turn the sound off. It looks so idiotic. So completely ridiculous. Makes no sense. Instead of that, put them into things which are good for them and in which there is You know, there is waqar, there is, what's the word for waqar? There's honor, right? There's good form of pride. Take them, put them in, get them interested in horse riding, for example. Or my childhood, which is now hidden in the mists of time when the earth began. I spent all my waking moments on the back of a horse. Or I spent those waking moments walking in the forests of the Aravalli Hills in India with a shotgun in my hand, and I had a Gold tribal friend of mine called Shivaya. Shivaya and I used to walk and walk and walk miles and miles and miles. The whole day we would walk. Once in a while I would shoot something, otherwise I wouldn't shoot anything, just walking in the forest. I didn't mean anything, but you walk 16 miles, 15 miles, maybe 20 miles in a day, you don't have time for jiving, you sleep. Right? You are riding horses, teach them good things, and this applies to the girls also. Nothing to prevent a girl from riding horse. Let them ride. Outdoor games. Don't watch soccer. Watching soccer is stupid. Playing soccer is good. Watching cricket and playing cricket both are stupid. Alright, next one. We got till tomorrow or what? What is the best way of disciplining children, instilling discipline? Every morning from 7 in the morning to 8 in the morning, beat them. 1 hour a day. Once again, I'm like a broken record. You ask me anything, I tell you the same thing. They used to have something called the cow composition, right? You don't write compositions, you write in school, right? Essays. So there's this thing called the cow composition. And the cow composition is, there was a cow in a field. So now you ask this person, please write an essay on the A380 aircraft. So the man says, the A380 aircraft was flying in the sky and beneath the aircraft was a cow in a field. You say, alright. Say, write an essay about a skyscraper. He said there was a skyscraper which was 120 stories high, and when you stand on the top of the skyscraper, you can see a cow in a field. Right? So it's called the cow composition. Anything you say comes down to a cow in a field. So anything you ask me, it comes down to be an example. Whatever you tell me. How do you discipline children? By being disciplined yourself. What does your bedroom look like when you have not? I'm not talking about when the servant has been, When you woke up and you got out of bed and you came away, what does your bedroom look like? That is how your child's room will look like. What does your cupboard looks like? What does your cupboard look like is how your child's cupboard will look like. What do your shoes look like? Is how your child's shoes will look like. What does your car look like is how your child's possessions will look like. How do you take care of commons is how your children will take care of commons. Do you chuck something out of the window when you are driving is what your children will do. Right? Yesterday I saw a sign, somebody's got some very creative advertising. I was driving, or I was being driven somewhere in Johannesburg, don't ask me the place and all that. And there was this wonderful sign. It says, I am littering, and there were 4 options. Because I am stupid, because I don't care about my city, because my mother still cleans up after me, all of the above. So 4 options. How do you instill discipline? By not cleaning up after your child. Teach them the care of commons. One of the biggest problems of the Muslims, no matter where they live in the world, is what their commons look like. You can almost, may Allah bless all of you, you can almost, when you drive into a locality, to a neighborhood, you can almost just by driving in know that this is a Muslim neighborhood or a non-Muslim neighborhood. Lawns will not be mowed, gardens will not be clean, there will be litter everywhere, or you will have a fancy Mercedes 600 SL coming out of a junkyard. No, what's that? We have to change our ways, sir. Seriously. Those of you who don't know all this, may all power to you. But this is the reality in most parts of the world that I have been to. You can walk into a place and you know that Muslims live here. Why? Because of the untidiness, the filth, the dirt, the junk, the garbage. That's not good enough. being orderly, being disciplined. Corporal punishment, beating children is the absolute worst, lowest, meanest, most miserable thing that you can ever do. Because all that you are proving is that physically I am more powerful than you. That's it, nothing else. Which means all your moral authority, everything has broken down. Now you have nothing left except to say, I am stronger than you. That makes absolutely no sense. A big dog will do that, a big cow will do that, a big goat will do that, not a big human being. So whether you are a teacher, whether you are a parent, if you have to hit your child, something very seriously has gone wrong before that. Why did it come to this point where you actually have to hit a child? Very important in terms of discipline. If you say salam, children will say salam. If elders come in, how you treat elders, that's how children will treat elders. Yes? Message is clear. I don't have to elaborate, right? Jazakumullah. Man, this pile is kind of growing from the bottom or what? Regarding secular education, how do we ensure proper sunnah upbringing of children and still put them in these schools, especially in this area? Two things. First of all, there is no such thing as secular education. Please stop using this term. It's a ridiculous term, oxymoronic term. There is no such thing as education free from God. There is contemporary education, not secular education. We have classical education and contemporary education. Islamic education and contemporary education, not secular education. The term itself, remove it. Anytime somebody says secular education, please correct it. Now, how do you do that? I'll give you I'll narrate an incident. One of my nieces who lived in America, she phoned me one day. We have these conversations over the years. So she phoned me one day. She said, Yawar, I got admission into this particular university, and she talked about a university in Maryland, near DC, Washington. Now that place has almost nothing there, except there's a good friend of mine who used to live there, American guy, white Christian guy, he's a very good friend of mine. So I went once and spent a weekend with him. I asked him, I said, Mike, what is here? He said, lots and lots of Christians. He said, nothing else. So that place is like that. So she got admission to the university. So she called me, and I was in India. She called me and she said, she told me, I am the only Muslim in this place. What should I do? I said, make 2 rakats Salah and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She said, why? I said, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent only one Nabi to a place. Right? Anbiya do not go in droves. One. So she said, well, I never thought of that. I said, yeah, most of you never think of anything. Alhamdulillah, the result of that was, this girl, when she went to the university, she was not in hijab. She didn't used to wear hijab. When she went to that university is when she started wearing hijab. I asked her why, who told you? There's no one to tell her that. I said, why? She said, no, because I wanted to be different. I said, I cannot be like everybody else. And you told me this Nabi thing and all that, so I said, I'm not saying she's the Nabi, but I'm saying you are doing the work of the Anbiya. So how do you train them to follow the Sunnah? By showing the waqar of the Sunnah. It is the pride of the man to have a turban on his head. It's the pride of a man to have a beard. Pride in a good sense, confidence. What does a shaved lion look like? It looks like a monkey. Right? Similarly, it's the pride of the woman to wear hijab. It is your waqar, it's your pride. Why do you want to give it away? For what? Look like every piece of grass? No. Teach them the value of the sunnah, the pride of the sunnah. And automatically they will take it. Because why do people do things? Tell me, 99% of the people, why are we aping? Don't ape the West. Why? Because the West today has the leadership of the world. There was a time, go and look at the old books, history books in India, some beautiful photographic books of photography in India, of British India. Right? See those books. You will find pictures of Hindu Maharajas, every one of whom looks like the Imam of Haram. Big turban on his head, his big beard, long, cloak, long thobe, Mishnah, and so on, a sword. You say, my God, this must be some, Mufti Azam of some country or a big sheikh from somewhere. He's not even a Muslim. The guy is a Hindu. Why is he wearing that? Because that was the dress of the rulers. That was the dress of those who ruled the world at that time. Today, why do you and I dress the way we dress? Not me, but you know what I'm talking about. Because that is the dress of the dominant culture. That's the dress of the dominant culture. So bring back your own dominant culture. Tell them that the culture is what happens in my house. The culture is not what happens on the street. When we go out, let us be recognizable as Muslims, alhamdulillah. Not talking about pride, it's not arrogance. It's pride as in taking confidence in yourself. There's nothing glorified about walking around like a mouse, imitating every mindless piece of trash that you find. No. Be yourself. Be confident. Do something because this is, alhamdulillah, adds value to me. What adds, tell me something, as a Muslim, what adds more value than the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is there anything that adds more value than that? So why must we hesitate to practice that? Is it clear? Ji. Only 4 more. How important do you think is it for girls to complete secular education, or should we as mothers allow them to leave the school early and go toward Islamic education? Jazakallah, very good question. You know why this question is being asked? Because we have destroyed education. We have created this ridiculous divide between secular and non-secular, contemporary and Islamic. This is not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for us to learn. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intend for us to learn? What does the Quran teach about the methodology of teaching? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did He say? إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Surah Al-Imran, He said, verily in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the day and night are signs for people of intelligence, for educated people. Who are these educated people? الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. Who are these people? The people who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala standing, sitting and lying down in every aspect of their lives. The beauty of the Bayan of the Quran. In these 3 words, Qiyaman, Waq'udan, wa ala junubihim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes every human state. People who recognize their Rabb meaning what? Who are obedient to their Rabb. People who remember their Rabb meaning what? Who are obedient to their Rabb. First part of education is to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The purpose of education is to connect the abd to the Rabb, to connect the slave to the master, to connect the slave to the creator. This is the purpose of education. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the intelligent one is who? Who recognizes his Rabb. So what must you do with the children? Recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Happens in the home, 24 hours, no matter which school they are going to. And then وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Not أَوْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Allah did not say intelligent people are those who do this or that. No. He said intelligent people are the ones who do this and that in this way, in this sequence. They recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then they bring the creation into the picture. Now when you recognize Allah and then you research in the creation, what is the automatic result? رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Same ayah. What is the automatic result? You say automatically, oh my Rabb, this thing is not an accident. You did not create all this for nothing. You did not create all this in vain. Oh my Rabb, Subhanak, all glory be to you. Glorified be your name and your grand majesty and your grace. Faqina adhab an-nar. Oh Allah, save me from the hellfire. Automatically you think of the akhirah. Do that with the children. Let them recognize they can go to your contemporary education school or they can go to the madrasa. Alhamdulillah, in this country you have a very nice system of makatib. The children go to madrasa or they go to the maktab. Alhamdulillah, all that is very good. Do not curtail the education of a child, whether it is male or female. Let them get the best education to the highest possible level. There is nothing glorified in encouraging ignorance, no. Let them study well, whether they are girls or boys. Let them study well. Let them study in the best universities. Let them go to the highest level of education. If you brought them up right, they will spread goodness wherever they go. There's no need to be so apologetic and so lacking in confidence about ourselves to feel that if they go out, they will go astray. Why don't you say when they go out, they will lead others to the right path? Both are possible. Both are possible. Why will they go astray? They will go astray because you did not do their upbringing properly. So therefore, do their upbringing properly, and then when they go, they will stand in the middle of the ocean of ignorance and disobedience. They will stand like a rock on which the waves of disobedience will smash themselves to smithereens. But do their upbringing correctly. Give them a foundation. Put steel in their foundation. The steel of Tawheed. The steel of following the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then all of batil, all of misguidance, all of falsehood will smash itself to smithereens on them, inshallah. Bring them up properly. Ji. Alright. Mention the concept of sacrifice versus investment. You know, people talk about sacrifice, say, oh, so-and-so did so much of sacrifice. The Sahaba did so much sacrifice. We are doing so much sacrifice. Somebody goes in the path of Allah for whatever number of days, oh, he has done so much of sacrifice. Think about this. You know what I said? You know what is sacrifice? Tandoori chicken is sacrifice. Yeah, because the poor chicken died. What did the chicken get in return? Nothing. It died. Sacrifice is to give up what belongs to you to somebody without getting a return. Please understand the definition of sacrifice. Two things are required. What is required? First of all, I am giving up something which does not belong to me. Supposing I say that I am going to sacrifice this camera. Right? What will you say? How can you sacrifice the camera? The camera doesn't belong to you. It's somebody else's camera. So I am going to sacrifice, your car. So the first requirement of sacrifice is the thing that you are sacrificing must belong to you, must be yours. Second requirement of sacrifice is that you give this to somebody and you get nothing in return. Now apply this to any work that you do for Islam or for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both the conditions are not satisfied. First of all, it doesn't belong to you. Your life is not yours, your wealth is not yours, your health is not yours, your knowledge is not yours. Everything was given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes or no? So first condition of sacrifice, if I am spending my life, I am spending my health or wealth or whatever was for Allah, it's not mine in the first place. When I say it's my life, it's not your life. Yeah, even the parents say, it's my life. No, it's not his life. So I know more than you think I know. So the point I'm making is that number one condition is not ours. Number two, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about what you give to Him? Remember, your Rabb and my Rabb is ghuyur. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has self-respect. Allah does not take from anybody. Allah gives. Allah gives. So what did Allah say? وَمَنْ جَاءَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ فَلَهُ أَشْرُ أَمْثَالِهَا. Allah said, if someone comes to me with one good deed, I will give him 10 likewise. What is the ratio? 1:10 is how much? 1000%. 10 times. And that is the absolute minimum. Absolute minimum. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you do one good deed, it's like planting one grain of one seed, and that seed, a plant grows and it has 7 years, and each year has 100 grains. So So 1:700. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the shan of the Rabbul Alameen. Allah doesn't stop with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يُضَاعِفُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. And then in addition to that, Allah will increase it as much as He wants. This is the shan of Allah. Allah doesn't count. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an accountant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't count pennies. Allah gives. It is the shan of the king to give in accordance with His majesty and grace, not by counting. Now my point is, whatever I do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I am getting returns like this, how is it a sacrifice? So what is it? It is what the Sahaba understood it to be, and that is investment. Investment. Why do I say this? Because a sacrifice, if you are sacrificing, at some point the sacrifice will end. Because there is only that much you can give up. After that, even if you want, you can't give up. What about investment? Is there any end to investment? No end to investment. You can keep on investing all your life. And that's why I tell people, all Muslims should be in what business? The guy who went to the LEC. What business? One business only. All Muslims should be in what business? The real estate business. You say, what is the real estate? What do you mean real estate business? So I tell people, somebody asks you, what business are you in? I say, I'm in real estate business. What's that real estate business? I build palaces. Wow, who build palaces? Where? In Jannah. Tell people, I build palaces in the Jannah. I say, mashallah. That's why I ask people, how real is the palace in Jannah? Ask yourself this question, how real is the palace in Jannah? You know what is the palace in Jannah? I'm going to give you an opportunity to do it right now. Alright? You know how to build a palace in Jannah? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you give up your right, what has to come to you? If you give up your right in favor of your brother or sister, he said, I will guarantee you a palace in the middle of Jannah. Min wasat al-Jannah. So I'm going to give you that opportunity right now. Who owes you something which you are willing to forgive in exchange for a palace in Jannah? I'm not giving you the palace. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam promised it. Think about that. Think about that. Any brother, any sister, any brother who's filed a case on somebody else, on a brother or sister, for this house, this property, whatnot, pick up your phone now, call your advocate, call your lawyer and say, case cancelled, let him take it. Say, why? Because I just got a palace in Jannah. The point, my sisters, is how real is that palace in Jannah. That is the key. The key is how real is it to you. Let me tell you a story, maybe we end with a story. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was in Masjid-ud-Duha when a young yatim boy came running to him and he was weeping. Rasulullah asked him, what happened to you? He said, Ya Rasulullah, as you know, I have a small garden which was given to me by my father when he died. And I was trying to build a wall around his garden. And there is a tree in the way. And the tree belongs to the man who has a garden next to mine. It's a big garden, very wealthy man. So he said, I went to this man and I told him, can I take my wall around your tree? He said, no. So I asked him, I said, will you sell me that tree? So I can cut the tree and take my wall through that place. He said, no. So the boy said, well, I'm helpless, I don't know what to do, so I came to you. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, call the man. They called him, that man is also a Muslim. The man is also a Muslim. They called the man, he came. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, why don't you give this boy what he wants? The man said, no. It's my tree. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, alright. Sell me the tree. I'm talking about how real is the palace in Jannah, okay? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, sell me the tree. And I will guarantee you a tree in Jannah. Now what is the meaning of being guaranteed a tree in Jannah by Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What does it mean? It means Jannah is the man. I mean, how else he can't have a tree in Jannah while he's roasting in the hellfire? No. Right? That means Jannah is his. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, sell me this tree and I will guarantee you a tree in Jannah. Muslim man talking to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The man said, Ya Rasulullah, this tree is mine, I will not sell it to you, Salaam alaikum, and he walked away. Yes? How real is that palace in Jannah? While this was happening, there was a Sahabi of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. His name is Abu Dahda al-Ansari, not Abu Darda, Abu Dahda al-Ansari. He was sitting there. He saw this whole thing happening. When this man left, he came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, if I buy that tree for you, will you give me the same thing which you promised this man? Seems like a strange, fancy fairy tale, no? I mean, in our world today. How real is that tree in Jannah? My sisters really seriously ask themselves, how real is that palace in Jannah? Abu Dahda comes and said, Ya Rasulullah, if I buy that tree for you, will you give me the same thing you gave the man? Rasulullah said, yes. He said, I will get a tree in Jannah. He said, yes. Abu Dahda ran behind the man. By then the man had reached the middle of the market of Medina. He stopped him and he said to the man, sell me the tree. The man turned around, he said, man, I didn't sell it to the Nabi of Allah. Why will I sell it to you? He said, get away. He said, no, hold on. He said, do you know me? He said, yeah, I know you. Who am I? You are Abu Dahda. He said, no, what do you know about me? He said, I know you are famous because you have this date orchard. You have this orchard which has 600 bearing trees. And it has a well of sweet water in it. And you are famous because of this date garden of yours. So Abu Dahda said, yes. He said, look, I want to make a deal with you. My deal is, sell me that tree and I give you my date garden. The man turned around, the man said, you're crazy or what? You are going to give me 600 trees for that one tree? He said, yes. He said, are you sure? He said, I'm absolutely sure. Sell me that one tree and I give you my garden. By then, a crowd has collected. People are listening. What is this thing happening? The man said, all right, you are witness. I have sold my tree to Abu Dahda. Radiallahu anhu. Abu Dahda said, oh people, you are witness. I bought this tree from this man. Does it make sense? I always say, the problem today with Muslims, there are too few crazy people. We got too many logical people whose hearts have died, who have got no courage left, there is no passion in deen, there is no love for Allah, there is no love for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are stuck in this miserable world. We are sitting in a movie hall, we are watching this movie. We are in that movie. When the actor and actress, when they are happy, we are laughing. When they are sad, we are crying. When they are afraid, our blood pressure is going up. And there's somebody sitting next to you and saying, man, wake up, that is a movie. They are neither happy, nor sad, nor glad, nor mad, or nothing. That's a movie. The world is different. What do we do with him? We give him a backhand and say, get out of here. I am in this movie. This is this dunya. This is the dunya. Abu Dahda said, take my garden. Abu Dahda then went to his garden. He stood outside the gate and he called his wife. Ya Abu Dahda. She came out of the house. He said, come out, bring the children, we are leaving. She said, why? Where are we going? He said, I just sold this garden. Listen and listen well. He said, I just sold this garden. She said, sold to whom? He said, sold to Allah and His Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She said, for what? He said, one tree in Jannah. You know what she said? She said, what a bargain. She said, Alhamdulillah, what a bargain. Dahda brings her children. She is coming out of the date garden. One of the little ones has his hand closed. She opens his hand. He's got a few dates. She takes away the dates. She throws it back in the garden. He said, we sold this to Allah. Come out of there. Leave that inside there. Leave the dates. They go to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Abu Dahda said, Ya Rasulullah, I bought that tree for you. Then he said, Ya Rasulullah, please tell me, do I have my tree in Jannah? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Abu Dahda, when you went from here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed me your Jannah. And he said, your Jannah has not one tree. He said, it is filled with trees. Filled with trees. The historian, the Mu'addatin say that Abu Darda and his wife lived in relative poverty for the rest of their lives. But they lived very happily, waiting to enter the Jannah that was promised to them by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill your lives with His nur. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you, each one of you, a beacon of guidance for the rest of the world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you children who will be a source of honor and a source of benefit for you in this dunya wal akhirah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use you as the standard bearers of Islam, to which the whole of the world is attracted, and that people will look at you and people will accept Islam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make those who look at you accept Islam, to make those who you speak to accept Islam, to make those who walk on the path after you have passed to accept Islam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather you and me and all our families together under the shade of His arsh on a day when there will be no shade except His shade. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to decree and to make it our qadr that we live on Iman, that we die on Iman, that we are resurrected on Iman, that it is resurrected, that it is decreed for us that we drink the water of the Hawd al-Kawthar from the hand of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and that we follow him into Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la bighayri hisab. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.